And with the ending of this episode, finally concludes the Grand Magic Games arc of Fairy Tail 2014. Now, that ending of this episode was very beautiful, and out of everything I've seen from Fairy Tail 2014, I personally believe that one specific scene in this episode was the classical Fairy Tail feels I got from the series. But the ending is actually a lot deeper than I thought it was. Now, the ending of this episode, okay? I don't remember if that was in the manga. Personally, I don't remember reading that in the manga. I think that ending where you see future Lucy go back to her real time, I think that was filler. But I'm not saying the filler was bad. I don't know. I don't remember if it's filler or not, so I'm sorry if it was or wasn't. I'm just saying that right now. But that ending scene, I really enjoyed how that was handled, because there's a lot of meaning in that scene. If you don't understand, I'm about to let you know. The ending scene signifies that future Lucy passed on to the afterlife. That's what you can get, because since she went back to her own time, and what we were shown in this episode was that Natsu died from dragons when he was fighting, in the future. You saw him fight hundreds of dragons by himself. You saw him get devoured by a dragon in the flashback, and pretty much you knew that everybody else was dead, because you had future Lucy crying and screaming to Natsu, "What are you doing?" because everybody else was pretty much dead. It was signified at the end of the original Fairy Tail series that everybody was dead, and, Lucy technically was by herself. And so it shows you that when Lucy went back to her real time, she actually moved on to the afterlife. That's exactly what happened. And so when you saw Natsu and everybody else in the background, it was pretty much them waiting for her to come over to the afterlife. That's pretty much what it signified. I mean, they were waiting for her, and then when she looked at her hand and all that, she clearly remembered that she died and that she lost her hand because of the future. And so it shows you that when she carried over, she passed on. And it's a really sad scene. That's how I take the ending, and it really kind of leaves you that sad, bittersweet, a feeling about this episode, because everybody of Fairy Tail died in the future, technically. Now, moving past the entire ending, let's look at all the different other points of this episode. So, it's because of Atlas and Future Rogue, the other dragon, and Natsu flying into the Eclipse gate or portal and destroying it, which in turn causes the portal to get destroyed, and everybody from the future gets turned back to the proper timelines. All the dragons go back into the past, all the future people go back into the future. So, it's really, I guess, cliche the way the gates got destroyed. I want to be honest, it was kind of anticlimactic how, Natsu and Atlas and all that just slammed into the freaking gate and it blew up. But besides that, I feel like overall the feels of this episode, it's a good feeling episode. Let me explain why. Let me dive in deep to show you why this actually technically was a good episode. Because Hiro Mashima designed this episode, or this arc, I think, to showcase the dragon's powers. We had a bunch of dragon slayers fighting each individual dragon by themselves in this arc. And by the time of the end of this episode, or end of this arc, where the dragons disappear, nobody was able to take down a dragon at all. None of the dragon slayers were able to take down a dragon. Now, before you start saying that Natsu took down, the other dragon that, Future Rogue was riding, technically he didn't. The reason why is because he had Atlas Flame helping him out. He had another dragon fighting another dragon, and so technically you can't really count Natsu taking down a dragon in that specific scene. And so, what I'm really counting is one-on-one. For instance, like a dragon slayer versus a fucking dragon. That's exactly what I'm counting. And so at this moment in time in this series of Fairy Tail, no character can fight a dragon. And these dragons are not the strongest form of dragons we have seen from the series. For instance, you have dragons like Arachnologia. Supposedly, in a year's time, that Future Rogue predicts and foreshadows in this episode is that Frosh will die. Rogue's fellow companion will die. And he reveals to Natsu in this episode, at the end of the episode, he says something and the entire audio is cut out, so we don't get to reveal who technically kills Frosh, but I mean, whoever it was definitely will have a major impact later on, because you could tell Natsu was shocked. He was really shocked when he found out who it was, and you could tell that he was probably dreading the future events to come. Now, the big thing is, okay, since technically in a year's time from this point onward that Frosh will die, what is going to happen? We know Arachnologia is coming, and it's obvious Arachnologia is coming since, all the different events that happened in the past, the Fairy Tail and previous arcs. And so, in a year's time, Arachnologia is going to reign as Demon King. He's going to come back, wreak havoc, and we can finally see, you know, the main boss that destroyed all of Fairy Tail pretty much single-handedly, treated them like ants in the past, going to be coming back to center stage later on in a year's time. Cannot to stop the inevitable death of Frosh in the future? That is another question we have to ask. Even though this was a victory and a win for Fairy Tail and every Magic Guild currently in this arc, technically it's not a victory because nobody was able to defeat a dragon, and at the exact same time, you have it to where Arachnologia is coming. And that was the main threat that this arc technically foreshadowed and set up. Personally, this arc actually was just a setup. It was just a setup for Arachnologia to come back and demonstrate how strong he really was. Because, like I said, our Dragon Slayers could not fight a dragon. They couldn't beat him. But Arachnologia is supposed to be the Dragon King. Very strong. He bathed in the blood of dragons and destroyed dragons constantly, so he had a lot of strength. And so, if they can't fight one fucking dragon, you gotta think about his strength. So anyways, besides that, okay, the entire events, I think, with this episode, it played out nicely. I like the events of this episode. It was a really enjoyable episode. I enjoyed through the entire episode. The music was good, and I love how they're starting to add in more original soundtracks into the episodes. For instance, they're starting to, like, remix the classical songs from the original Fairy Tail, and they're actually starting to add them into Fairy Tail 2014. I noticed that last episode, but I really didn't mention it. But this episode, I also noticed another remix soundtrack. So tell me your thoughts personally. How do you all feel about the Grand Magic Games? Now, before I end this video, I just want to say something real quick. The Grand Magic Games as a whole, majority of people are going to probably say that this is one of the worst arcs in Fairy Tail, and I can agree to a certain extent and different reasons, but for the most part, I have enjoyed Fairy Tail. I know there's flaws with Fairy Tail, but the main thing you have to think about when it comes to Fairy Tail is the entertainment value, honestly. And that is why I come and watch Fairy Tail every week, because I do get a lot of enjoyment from it. You get those feels, the pumped up vibes, and everything just goes down, and you just want to say, I'm fired up. Seriously, that's how you always want to think. So, tell me your thoughts. What is your final thoughts on the Grand Magic Games arc, since technically this is the conclusion? Let me know in the comments below. I love all of you so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.